Hey y'all, welcome to the 4P podcast. I'm your host, Mike Paterno, and we got episode 102 today, another episode of Cigar Talk. Um, Today I wanted to talk about becoming the best version of yourself. Since I started becoming a football coach 7 weeks ago, excuse me, since I became a football coach, I've always loved the game of football. I grew up playing hockey, I always loved the game of football. And ever since I've, started a business, started a podcast, and really stepped out of my comfort zone to become the best version of me, right? Like I've been on this journey now since like 20 2018, 2019, right? Like I always knew I wanted to be uh, a husband, a father, a business owner again. When I lost my first business, it crushed me. Like I thought it was the end all be all. Like I was like, and I just told like I had a long conversation with God. I said, look, like I really need to grow. I really need to be more self-aware. I need to grow. The I need to find myself in order to become the best version of me so I can get some of these things that I want in life. I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a husband. I wanted to be a business owner. And most importantly, I wanted to be a better follower of Christ. I wanted to walk the path that Christ walked, right? It's You don't want to be religious. Like being religious is stupid. Religion is stupid. It's all man-made bullshit. That all these churches, all these mega church pastors, preaching all their prosperity gospel bullshit. It's just you need to more, becoming more Christ-like, just walking a path that Christ walked, loving people, adding value to people's lives, being the best you, putting on your oxygen mask before you put on the oxygen mask of the person next to you. You cannot help anybody if you are not the best you. You can't add value to people's lives if you're not the best version of yourself. So, when I lost my business, I was a single guy. I was crushed, and it it just really like broke me down. And I just told God, I said, excuse me. I told God, what do I these are the things that I want to do. What do I need to do to get there? And the one thing that I told myself was like, a place to start was going to the gym, right? Be better about going to the gym. Be more intentional about going to the gym, be more intentional what you're doing when you're in the gym, be more intentional with your workouts, put together a better game plan. That consistency helped me. Oh, sorry, I'm shaking the camera. That consistency helped me build that mental state, right? Doing hard things, putting myself through hard stuff. Um, let's get this camera out. Sorry, guys. Putting myself through hard things, right? So going to the gym, it's a hard thing to do, right? Not a lot of people want to go to the gym. Not a lot of people want to. Um, they don't want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever time they need to wake up. So, um, you know, getting consistent at the gym. So that's something I did in is 2020, 2019, right? Because I was an owner operator. So when I had my first business, I was an owner operator. So I couldn't, go to the gym like I like to. I would try to hit the gym on the road, try to hit LA Fitness or Crunch Fitness or whatever. If I was in the area of a place that had a gym, I could take a shower there. Usually the parking lots were big enough to fit my truck. I could take a shower there. I could get a workout in. I could use the amenities while I was, sleeping in the back of my truck. But it wasn't all the time. So when I lost my business and I went to be a sales guy for a trucking company in Dallas, I told myself, okay, um, consistently go to the gym, 4 days a week, train, this is how you're going to train. And then I did that, consecutively. And obviously I've been doing that now for 6 years. Meal prepping, eating good, right? That goes along with working out, taking care of your body, doing your blood panels every 6 months, getting the necessary supplements, working with a doctor who is going to help you with your blood, like working with the right doctor that fits the goals that you're trying to do. Preferably a functional medicine doctor, not these PCPs and these Western medicine doctors, because we know all that bullshit, right? So, working, just staying consistent in that. And then becoming in sales, like sales is a very hard job. Selling your product, selling your business, selling what the products that your company, I was a sales for a trucking company. There's tons of trucking companies, there's tons of brokerages, there's tons of logistics companies out there. So you're always competing against somebody. So another thing was, who do I need to become to be the best in logistics, right? So I had the working out down packed, and I knew that if I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, or 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it was, whatever my schedule was, I knew I knew that that was going to help me, because I knew that less than what um I knew that less than, say, less than 10% of people are waking up that early to go to the gym, right? So I knew that I had that, right? So, and then I was in a space, I'm in a huge city where logistics and trucking is a predominant, um logistics, trucking, warehousing, freight brokerages is a huge market for that, right? So I'm competing against a lot of other guys. So I knew, and I needed to wake up my ass up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I knew that we had to um I knew that I had to get in the gym. I had to get my work done in the gym. I had to get out, and um I had to get ready, go to work, and battle. And I knew from 8 to 6 and 9 to 6, whatever it was, I was battling, right? So I did that for 5 years. I was a sales rep for three different companies in Dallas. Sold, sold, sold. Built a lot of strong relationships. Got a lot of no's. Got a lot of yeses. Lost multi-million-dollar contracts. But overall, the ultimate thing in life is you have to be able to handle rejection. And there's a lot of kids coaching football now, coaching these 10 and under kids. They struggle with hearing rejection. And rejection in life is very important. You have to know how to handle rejection. You have to know how to handle the wins, and you have to know how to handle the losses. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be successful. You're going to be a you're going to you're not going to you might be successful through, like, kind of like being a cocky, arrogant person, but you're not going to go very far. You're not going to understand why things happen to you. You're probably not going to have a good relationship with Jesus. You're not probably not going to live a Christ like life. And I think understanding rejection, right? Understanding the losses in the gym when you're talking to girls, right? I saw I guess there was some thing I heard on I had to look it up, but I guess there was a, and you guys can drop comments whatever, but I heard there was a kid that got rejected by a girl. I guess he asked her out, and instead of just like understanding and how to handle that rejection, I guess he beat the girl up, which is absolutely horrible. I feel horrible for that girl. And but I'll have to look more into that. I don't know all the details. I've just heard that. I think I saw a clip of it on Instagram or some shit. But I guess kid didn't know how to handle rejection. The girl said, "No, I don't want to, date you, whatever." And the kid got really offended and obviously acted like a little bitch. However, if you train your brain to handle rejection, to handle and become a mentally strong person, most people don't have the mental capacity to be able to handle certain issues, even grown adults, right? Grown adults that don't handle their issues as they get older through life still act like little kids in grown men bodies, and we see it all the time. Um, Kids that have their parents are not hard on them, those kids are probably going to grow up with an entitled mentality. And so handling rejection um also comes with the a big mental capacity. The more mental capacity you are, the more mentally tough you are, the more you can handle hard issues in your life. And that's why you have to put yourself through hard things. So right now, something hard that I'm working on, I'm not a runner. I hate running. I'm a big guy. I'm not a running person. So every day I get up at 6:30 and I force myself to run 1 mile. And it's worked, it's done tremendous things for my heart rate. When I'm sleeping, my heart rate's down into the 50s. It's amazing. So my heart's not working that hard, right? My resting heart rate is chill. And I wear a Whoop to sleep, so it helps me with my my HRV, my heart rate, tells me how I'm sleeping. It tells me all the metrics about my body every day, and it's really good stuff. And so I'm intentionally putting myself through something hard, right? I've done 75 hard twice. 75 hard is one of the greatest programs ever. It's not a weight loss program. It's not a fitness program. It's a mental challenge to build and to build and expand your mental capacity, right? The more mental capacity you have, the more things that you can handle. And I think that's a huge I think that's a huge piece of um that's a huge piece of life, because life you're going to handle, there's so many you're going to get rejected so many times. You're going to get rejected in business, you're going to get rejected at your company, you might not get a promotion that you want, you might not get the girl that you want. All these things are going to happen, and you're going to you have to be able to handle these things. Oh, this girl doesn't want to, this girl doesn't want to date me. Okay, there's obviously, God, that wasn't meant for me. And that's another, here's another thing. There's another thing that I've always thought. If something doesn't work out for me, and I know if I'm on the train tracks and I'm pushing along and I'm pushing along and I'm pushing along, and I'll use a business term, this is also for life, but I'll use a business term. If I find a customer, say I find a new customer, right? And I'm like, this could be a huge thing for my company. This could be a huge thing for my company. This could be a huge thing for my family. This could, like I said, I've lost. I was working with a company in Rockwall, Texas. I lost a almost $3 million a year deal. That deal, I did all my things, and there was probably things that I could have done better. Maybe I miscommunicated on a piece. Maybe I didn't follow up as fast as I needed to. Maybe I didn't respond to an email as fast as I needed to respond. Maybe there was things, obviously things that I could have done better. But typically, regardless of how long it takes for you to do business with that customer, if it doesn't happen naturally, if it takes 3 months or 4 months and you're just not having great conversations with these people, and it, if you're talking to these people, the whoever the client is, client A, if you're talking to client A and you're just having like really good conversations, and you know, if you're always kind of staying in their ear, you're always in their back pocket, you always, hey, how's it going, Joe? Like, what's going on? How's the family? What do you got going on? You're stopping by, you're having conversations, maybe drop off a couple of, Chick-fil-A gift cards or something for the guys. Hey, go have, lunch on me, whatever. If those things are happening naturally, and you get an opportunity and you get your foot in the door and you start working with that customer and it blows up, that's something that was meant to be. You let that gradually build. If if you get with a if you get with now the flip side to that, if you get with customer A and you guys are talking and having conversations and it's just not going the way, and it's just not going the way that you think it should go, and you're talking for 4 or 5 months or something, and it just doesn't work out, it probably wasn't meant for you, and that's okay. Not everything is going to be meant for you, and not you can't be entitled thinking that everything is meant for you. There's some things that are meant for you, there's some things that are not meant for you, and you just have to understand how to handle that direction. I'm going to use another business term that happened to me in my business. We do a lot of air cargo. It's one of my favorite industries to be in. It's a hard industry, and you have to have a big mental capacity. Thank God I've been going to the gym for years. My mental capacity is strong. I put myself through hard things intentionally to be to have a bigger mental capacity and to have a better understanding of what my capabilities are. So the more hard things I put myself through, the more I can handle hard things, right? When hard things come my way, I can handle that because I have a big mental capacity. You still are going to get your ass kicked. You're still going to get beat down. You're still going to feel lethargic. You're still going to feel tired, but your mental capacity is big enough for you to handle that. And you know that you're going to get through it because you've just been through some hard shit. So if you're continuously putting yourself intentionally, if you're continuously intentionally putting yourself through hard things, you can make it through anything. Um, the uh I I've been interviewing airlines so we could fly our air cargo on different airlines, passenger airlines, cargo airlines, all the airlines. I got turned down by all the big passenger airlines. And I was exhausted. I've talked to a ton of airlines, and I had one airline I had a conversation with, and we had breakthrough, and it was the last airline I ever thought I would talk to. I didn't even know that they flew a lot of cargo, and it's a big player in the it's a big player in the business. And um hold on one second, sorry guys. um it's a big player in the business, and it's one of the top five biggest airlines in the country, and they're international. They go all over the place. They go to Europe, they go to Asia. And I just I was like, oh shit, they got air cargo. I saw them at a conference. I pulled up to their booth. I started talking with them. They invited me into the booth to sit down. We sat down on they had a nice couch. Sat down on a nice couch, started talking to their team. We just had really, really good conversations. And just out of nowhere, the girl was like, hey, well, we can get you set up. And I stopped and looked and I said, what do you mean? And she goes, well, we can get you set up as a shipper, and you can run all your air cargo on all of our flights. I almost cried. I was so happy. And I was like, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, like we can do this, this, and this." And I was like, "That's the most incredible thing." Like literally, I've had meetings with all the big players, and you guys know all the big airlines. I've been to their corporate offices. I've met with the executives. I've had all these meetings with all these big people at all these multi-billion-dollar airlines. Everybody turned us down. and this one airline did not. And maybe they thought I was joking. Maybe they thought I was serious. Maybe they just didn't want to work with a trucking company. Most airlines like to work with freight forwarders. Most freight forwarders don't want airlines to work with trucking companies. Most freight forwarders don't want trucking companies working with airlines because that kind of cuts them out, right? Because most of the time, if you want to fly air cargo, you need to go directly through a freight forwarder, and then the freight forwarder has a relationship with the airlines. And I'm like, well, fuck that. Let me bypass the freight forwarder. And freight forwarders might get butthurt about this. And I got a couple of really good friends that are freight forwarders that I do business with. Um, but I wanted to bypass the airline and do it myself. And months of conversations, no, 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 no. Random conversation. Hey, we can do X, Y, and Z. Yes, let's get you set up. And we get set up. And in my head, those meetings with those other airlines, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't that wasn't for me, right? It wasn't for me at the time. God was like, hey, dude, these things are not for you. I'm going to protect you. It might not happen in the time frame that you want it to happen in, but it's going to happen in a good time frame. And sure enough, I have a random conversation with a couple of people from another major player, and they welcome me into their booth. I sit down, we talk shop, we talk for like 2 hours. And a week went by, and the email we started all the email chains, and we got set up. And here we are moving air cargo with a large airline that services the United States of America, Asia, and Europe. They fly wide bodies, they fly narrow bodies, they fly 737s, they fly A321s, they fly A330s, 787s. All the big players. So when it comes to rejection, you just have to hang in there. You have to keep moving. But you have to do the things over here in order to build your mental capacity, handle rejection, handle denial, handle the losses. And then when you get the wins, you're always going to have more losses than you have wins. But when you get the wins, it's so sweet. It feels so good. It's so incredible. It's just such a it's it's just such a good feeling. You just feel so accomplished. But then you celebrate that win for 12 hours and then you move on to the next thing and you keep pushing. You can't just be like, oh, I won. That's it. It's over. No, because you got to build this thing for 80, 90 years. You're building this whole entire thing for the amount of time that you're on this earth. It's not just like, oh, I won this and I quit. You don't just get one win and then you quit. Jordan just didn't win one championship and then stop winning championships. He won 5 more championships. Tom Brady didn't just win one Super Bowl and was like, all right, that's it, guys. We won one Super Bowl. It's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. We're good. No, Tom Brady ran off and won 6 more Super Bowls for a total of 7 before his career ended. You got to put in the work behind closed doors. Everything that you do leads to something. Every rep that you do in the gym is leading towards something. If you're a single guy, I'm talking to the men out there because most of the men in our society are soft, and most women in their 30s and 40s are single because we have soft men. The more women you talk to, the more confidence you build, the more rejections you get, the more confidence you build, and those women are not for you. And then eventually you will find the woman that is meant to be with you. The more reps you do for anything that you want to succeed in will help you be successful. If you're not getting reps, you're not just going to be successful. You can't just show up in life and expect to be successful. I didn't just show up and start my own company. I spent 18 years in the trucking industry. I spent 12 of those years, so I was a sales guy for 5. I've been an operator now for a year and a half. So that's 6.5 years. I started driving when I was 18. I'm 37. So that's 19 years. So yeah, 12 years driving. So I didn't just show up and say, I'm going to be an operator of a logistics company in the trucking industry. No, I drove the truck for 13 years or 12 years. I spent 14 hours a day in the truck kicking myself. I remember a funny story. I remember driving. I remember I was a truck driver and I was a local city driver in Dallas for 8 years. I remember driving in like cities like Las Colinas, real nice, beautiful cities in Dallas. Las Colinas, Addison, South Lake, um, some parts of Cop Hill, the non-warehousing part of Cop Hill with the nice houses and the restaurants. Um, Addison, beautiful city, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of nice buildings, rich people, real successful people because there's a real big private airport there, so a lot of business people, a lot of real successful entrepreneurs and CEOs and executives will fly in and out of Addison Airport. And I remember on Thursday, Friday nights when I was a driver, local city driver for a major trucking company in the United States here. Um, I would I would come in at like 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock some days. Sometimes I come in at 12 if we were slow. Like when I first started, I was coming in at 1 o'clock and working until like midnight. And I remember driving at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., passing all these nice restaurants, driving up and down these city streets, see people out there with their families, their wives, their girlfriends, their kids, their husbands, having nice dinners at all these nice restaurants, people just enjoying life. On Friday, sometimes I would pull into a parking lot to have lunch and you see people at like 3 o'clock at these patio bars and restaurants and drinking and having a good time on Fridays and been like, damn, what did I do wrong? Like thinking negative, like I made my first year as 22 years old as a local city driver. I made $73,000. I didn't have a college degree and I was ungrateful. And I thought the grass was always greener on the other side. And then I did start my own business. And I was even more on the road when I started my own business because I was traveling all lower 48 states. I was all over the country. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to start my own business and make." I made tons of money. My first year, I made over $200,000 as an owner operator. And but guess what? I was never home. I was in a relationship and I was never home. I was in Utah. I was in Wyoming. I was in Seattle. I was in Montana. I was in New York. I was in Atlanta. I was here. I ran my ass off. Most of the time I ran, I didn't even have my logbook plugged in. It was when we went, all the electronic log bullshit. I was backdating my log. I was changing my log. I did anything I needed to do to make it look like I was legal. And, it's not good, but in order to make money, that's what you had to do. And, but I didn't just show up and become an owner operator. I spent 12 years behind the wheel, over almost 2 million miles of safe driving, 2.5 million miles of safe driving. I did it with pride. Sometimes I had some ungratefulness and be like, oh, why can't I have a life like that? Why didn't I go to college? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why wasn't I better in school? All these people, 2, 3 o'clock on a Friday, having drinks, happy hour with their friends, getting ready to start the night, the weekend, whatever. And I'm out here slaving, trucking, 7 p.m., working until 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes midnight on a Friday night, 22, 23, 24, 25 years old. Everybody's out enjoying their life, not realizing that I paid, I got a Florida State grant to go to truck driving school in the state of Florida for 2,200 bucks. Took that $2,200 certification, that Class A CDL license, went off and made $73,000 as a 22-year-old, went off and made $80,000 as a 23-year-old, made $85,000 as a 24-year-old, made When my last year at this trucking company, I made over $90,000 as a local city driver. I was 28 years old when I bought my truck. When I bought my own truck and said, "Screw it," because I wanted to go to sales and they wouldn't promote me. I went off in sales. I went off and bought my own truck and my own trailer. My first year, I made over $200,000. My second year, I made over $200,000. Then I did a half year, and COVID hit, and I went out of business. I didn't just show up. I put the work in. I built, and then I failed, and then I built, and now I'm building, and I'm adding value to other people's lives. I'm pouring into other truck drivers. I work with 30, 40, 50, 60 truck drivers a week that I manage by myself. I'm building with these guys. I'm helping these guys. I'm pouring into these guys, adding value to their lives, asking them how their families are, buying these guys lunch when I can, doing everything I can, knowing that I was a driver, pouring into their life to add value to their life. I've watched so many men the last couple of months improve their lives because I'm trying my hardest to add value to their life because it's not just about the dollar, but it's also pouring into other men. I'm using my business to be Christ-like and trying to pour into other men, help other men, guide other men, making sure they're having good, strong relationships with their kids, good, strong relationships with their spouses, and just trying to be the best version of myself. And sometimes I'm not always successful. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I work with somebody who doesn't like me, and that's okay. People are not going to like you. Everybody doesn't need to fucking like you. And you're not going to fucking like everybody. But treat everybody with respect. Treat everybody with kindness. Treat everybody with love. Not everybody liked Jesus either. They obviously fucking killed him for it. They didn't like him. Not everybody liked him. But guess what? He treated people with respect. He treated people with kindness. He loved everybody and he poured into people. He added value to people's lives where he could, or when every opportunity he had to add value. But understand to handle rejection. Build your mental capacity. Go do hard shit. Every day wake up, try to do something hard for even if it's 5 minutes a day. And then try the next week, do 10 minutes a day. If all you can do is run a tenth of a mile, run a tenth of a mile, and then run a 12th of a mile, and then a 14th of a mile, and just build that shit up. If you can only do one squat, do 4 sets of one, do 10 sets of one, and then try two the next week, and then try three. Stretch. If you can only do one deadlift, one bench press, like put yourself through hard stuff so you can handle rejection and you could build and you could grow and you could learn because you're going to need that you're going to need a big mental capacity to fill your head with all the areas of life that you're going to get attacked from. The devil is going to attack you from all the areas. They're going to attack you in your relationship with what you see on Instagram. They're going to try to draw your attention away to your wife, try to draw your attention away from your kids. The shit that you see on TV, the shit that you see on Netflix, the shit that you see on social media, it's all distractions to pull you in all these different directions so you don't focus on your wife, so you're not focusing on your kids. It's all bullshit. Take care of your family, take care of your kids, take care of yourself, build the relationship with Jesus, take care of your body, go lift weights, do hard shit, go for walks. If you're a person that likes to walk and you're like, man, I only walk 1 mile every day. Well, next day, try 2 miles. If you're like, I really like walking, I'm going to try to walk 10 miles. That's something hard. Find a, find a 1 mile loop in your community and do that 10 times. Do hard shit. I don't have time to coach 10-year-old football. I don't have time for that. But I make time for it because it's important. It's important to add value into these children. It's important to pour into these kids. It's important to build these young men to be the strongest version of themselves. It's not about fucking football. It's about making these kids be understand the losses, understand the win, make them understand, hey, dude, this is how life is going to be. When you're 18, 19, 20, 30 years old, this game right here is how life is exactly going to be. You're going to make some good plays. You're going to make some bad plays. You're going to get some rejections. You're going to get some penalties. All the things that happen in a football game is going to happen to you in real life. That's what it's about. It's about taking other strong men and putting them into these areas to lead these young men to become the best versions of themselves. So we don't have any more weak men going through our society, acting like assholes, being entitled, and having fucking zero self respect, don't know how to talk to women, don't know how to lead a company. How many times have you went to a major corporation or any company and saw a man or a woman in a leadership position that should not be in that position because they're not the strongest person for the job? They're the weakest person for the job. They get promoted and they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to guide people. They don't know how to pour into people. They don't know how to add value to people's lives. It happens all the damn time. It's up to you. I was having a buddy of mine who also works for this big trucking company that I used to work at. I was a driver, and my buddies, super intelligent guys, great dudes, good fathers, good leaders. And I tell them all the time, go be terminal managers, go be dock supervisors, go be dispatch, go be driver supervisors, driver managers. Get yourself into these strong positions, because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And that person, the other person that's going to do it, is probably not going to be a strong leader for that position. Some of these terminal managers, so, excuse me, some of these terminal managers at these big trucking companies make two, three, four, $500,000 a year with the revenue that they're bringing into these big facilities. Go be that guy. Don't let somebody else get that position. You be that guy. But in order for you to be that guy, you got to build the mental capacity, and you got to put the work in for years and years and years to get to that point. I'm so grateful to be the leader of my company. I'm so grateful to work with the men that I work with. And I'm so grateful that I spent 12 years in the truck. At 12 years ago, I didn't realize this, but now I realize this. 12 years, the 12 years I spent in the truck, I can pour into these other guys. I help two guys that I work with every day. Uh, they live in Texas, and they run for my company. They work for a company, but they run for the company works. We work together, and these dudes are so amazing. I watch these dudes go from making 40, $50,000 a year at a shitty trucking company to getting them a new job with a really great company, really great leaders, really strong company that's been in business for 40 years. And these dudes have potential to make six figures a year at a trucking company. That's life changing for their family. That's life changing for them. That's life changing for their kids. That's life changing for their wives. It's the most incredible thing to watch when you pour into other people, because you built your mental capacity so strong, and your mental block is so big that you can handle so much shit. Because that's all, like, if you want to build anything successful and you want to do anything successful, whether you want to be a football player, hockey player, basketball player, baseball player, lacrosse player, soccer player, business owner, operator, whatever you want to do in this life, if you want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you have to build your mental capacity so big so you can handle all the shit. And and you have to be able to pour into people when you're building these things. I'm building a company. I'm trying to leave a legacy for my kids, for my wife, for my family, and so that way my kids teach my kids the trucking industry, if that's something they want to do. If they want to do something else, cool, but they better put their heart and soul into it. They better be the best versions of themselves to be the most successful in whatever it is that they want to do. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed day.